This episode of Watchin' Stuff is sponsored by T-Blocks. Stay till the end to find out how you can support ToonGrin while getting your own limited edition Geek Culture t-shirt.
How about Rudolph?
I think it's a fine name.
Hello and welcome to Watchin' Stuff, the show about watching stuff. I'm NERO, with me is my Canadian counterpart WHYBOY, and today we're taking a look at yet another Christmas classic. Not the classic you're thinking of, though. We're more like the Chinese knockoff of a classic, if you will, or
basically, if you took Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer from Rankin Bass, smashed it in with a mallet or something, and then just put a nice red bow on it, and there you go.
Turn it over, and it says, like, made in Taiwan.
And by Good Times Entertainment.
Yeah, you're gonna have a good time with this.
You just put some quotation marks on that as well.
So the quotation marks I'm making with my clawed hands.
Clawed hands, yeah.
Now, for those who don't know, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer is he's a staple of the holidays. You have Santa Claus, Frosty the Snowman, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, and to a lesser extent, Krampus?
Yeah.
Kind of. Like, people don't really talk about him too much, even though he just got a really awesome movie a couple years back.
Yeah, well, maybe we can just bring him back. We can be the forefront runners of this new Krampus trend.
I don't know why not. The Krampus is cool. I highly recommend a comic by Paul Dini called Jingle Bell. And he shows up in there, and he's hilariously sardonic.
Nice.
I highly recommend it.
But do you recommend Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer the movie?
The Rankin Bass one.
But why not the Good Times one, Nero? It has everything. Awful animation, a horrible story.
Musical numbers.
Yeah. Everything.
Yeah, again, this goes back to my long-standing argument where Disney helped ruin the forefront of animation. And it's funny because when you stop and think about it, you know, the good thing about competition in like our field of work is it causes us to want to do better, to be better, to stand out above the crowd.
Yeah, to experiment and just try new ways to go about things. Yeah,
that's why like a lot of people, if you remember when like Shrek first came out, it was such the anti-Disney movie that's why people adored it, because it wasn't trying to be Disney. It was treating almost the idea of like, man, look how edgy and cool we are, as opposed to Disney that's all, you know, family friendly and like kind and sweet. And then of course then Disney tried to do that and they made shit like Chicken Little and everybody like fucking hated it.
Yeah, because they do not do that sort of humor very well there.
Not particularly, no. And that's sort of the thing, is that in a lot of ways, the greatness about Disney is that it caused other studios to do animation, and you have some good animated stuff. Like I always kind of go back to the Iron Giant, as one of those great animated films. But then because Disney makes so much money doing one thing, and this is going to sound dickish, but studio heads are morons, and the reason why these people are morons, and I don't know how they get into like positions of power, but like they always seem to be stupid.
Yeah.
Because they always look at something and take the face value of it. Yeah. And they think that's why it's successful. Like, I don't know if you heard about this. I mean, you remember when I showed you Deadpool?
Right, yeah.
You remember how your takeaway from Deadpool is like, wow, this is sort of a heartfelt love story about a guy who's dealing with cancer, and it just sort of happens to be wrapped around the idea of an R-rated, like, anti-hero?
Right, exactly, yeah.
That did so well that, like, a week after that movie came out and made a good amount of money, out of left field, Fox is like, and we're gonna have an R-rated X-Men movie, and we're thinking maybe an R-rated Wolverine franchise, and then DC came in and they're like, and we're gonna do like an R-rated Lobo movie. Yeah, and it's like, wow, you're completely this wasn't successful just because it was an R-rated superhero property, right? That isn't remotely why it did good.
Yeah, because for a lot of studio heads, it comes down to like what can be the best for the bottom line. And when it came to Disney in the animated field, for Disney to make so much money making musicals, basically a lot of the old 90s movies had to be a musical that just try to bank on that sort of popularity, which is why you get basically a ton of musicals that are just like, I'm singing a song about the things that are happening around me. And
these are lyrics.
Not moving the story, just say what's going on around me.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, like, Disney, in a way, sort of ruined it. And that's, I obviously I can't blame Disney because it's like, but we did something and it worked for us. That's true, but because idiots get into seats of power at studios, they think, oh, well, if we do that, that's what... It'd be like, okay, off the top of your head, okay, what is a dessert you adore?
Brownies.
Okay, you love brownies, right?
Yeah.
They're delicious. Who doesn't love a good fucking brownie?
Yeah. Right.
Now, imagine, like, I'm going to make you a tray of brownies, and I'm going to have it have that crisp, chocolate over layer on top of it.
Mm-hmm.
But on the inside, I filled it full of, like, lemon wedges.
Yeah, no, I would not like the lemon wedges in my brownie.
But why don't you like what I did? It looks like just what you like.
Because you don't understand what made the brownie good in the first place. You just added stuff into it that doesn't really mesh with it.
I'm not following you. It's what you like, damn it. Why don't you like what I did?
Well, maybe if you just shredded up the lemon, like maybe just put the skins on top, basically made it meld with the brownie, it would be a nice little treat. Basically, a sweet and sour treat that could just taste in your taste buds. Not just stuffing a lemon in there and just calling it a day.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Because Disney sort of caused this forefront to happen, everybody wanted to be Disney. Everybody wanted animated musicals, which to me is actually very annoying because I hate that we have animated films that feel like they have to be a musical.
Yeah.
When it's like, you could just be a good animated film that doesn't need to break down. And it's funny because, like, a lot of people adore Frozen and look at it as the forefront of, like, oh, it's back to basics Disney. But then Zootopia came out.
Yeah.
And Zootopia isn't a musical. It's an animated Disney film. In a lot of ways, it's like a Pixar movie, because Pixar movies didn't do the musical numbers.
Yeah, no, they never have done it as far as I remember.
Oh, well, they had, like, I think they sometimes have songs in their movies, but, like, the characters didn't stop the movie to sing about stuff.
Yeah.
That was strictly more of a Disney thing. But then we got, like, Wreck-It Ralph, and then we got Zootopia, even Emperor's New Groove, really, when you go back and watch it, because the only time they're singing is... There are a few lyrics that Cusco says during his opening song, but other than that, it's actually more of a straight-up buddy comedy, and it's sort of... when you go and watch some of these other Disney movies where it's like Atlantis the Lost Empire or Treasure Planet, they're not musicals. They might have sequences with music in it, but the characters don't break out and sing. And it's funny because those are technically the Disney movies that don't do as hot as the other films. Yeah,
because Disney has just sort of had that sort of musical label just attached to it because they have done it so well.
So other studios try and do that, and that's exactly what this Rudolph movie tries to be. Is it's like, well, it's 1998. Lion King was 97?
Yes, something like that. But I will say that you're giving Good Times way too much credit. It wasn't just the fact, just like, oh wow, Disney's doing it so good, we gotta do it too. They're just more like, oh wow, Disney's doing it so good, we gotta take what they're doing and basically push it as our own. Which is why you see them make The Hunchback of Notre Dame, The Little Mermaid, and basically a lot of other Disney movies under their own brand.
Yeah, actually, 1998, Mulan.
Yeah, I don't believe they did Mulan. I think that was another company that did the Mulan ripoff. That I do want to actually look into those movies someday to basically review them.
That'd be actually like a cool series just to do the knockoff.
Yeah.
Of actual better movies, like we did the card above our head, link in the description below. But you and I had watched, and we had written for you the Frozen knockoff.
Well, technically Frozen knockoff because it was made in in the 90s when Frozen was produced in basically 2010.
Yeah, but Frozen had been in development since Walt Disney was alive, so...
Yeah, true. And that was a far more accurate portrayal of what Frozen was supposed to be.
Yeah, actually, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, yeah, it came out actually a few months after Mulan, the same year as Disney's Mulan.
Oh, they must have just basically skipped on ripping off Mulan to make this theatrical movie, because they knew they were going to make a hit with this one. They're going to make a hit with this Christmas movie that came out in October.
Man, not everyone could be like Jack Skellington, I mean...
Yeah, the Jack Skellington movie was the only movie where people can actually argue over, like, no, this is a Christmas movie, no, this is a Halloween movie, back and forth, when it clearly came out at one of those times a year.
And then here's the thing, okay?
Mm-hmm.
The thing about Rudolph, and it's... You could argue it's for this movie as a whole, or this idea, but there aren't really so many ways you can tell Rudolph. Like, you can't... It's something that can't really be reimagined, or... not that it's impossible. Obviously, I'm sure a great writer can come along and be like, I'll prove you wrong, I can reimagine it. But you ever notice that the core to Rudolph is always the same? Yeah. Reindeer, red glowing nose, is an outcast amongst its group. At the end, it's justified for its birth defect because its birth defect is useful.
Yeah, and that's just sort of the cynical way you can break down sort of the story, but that really is just sort of the beat by beat. And there could be ways to go about it. Like, I haven't seen the other Rudolph movies that Rankin Bass came out with, so you can do more with the Rudolph character, like, that's proof of that. But definitely sort of his origin story goes through the same beats, especially in the theatrical movie.
Yeah, almost verbatim, this is a lot like the Rankin Bass film. Really, the big change is, instead of... if I recall, the Rankin Bass film really didn't have an antagonist, at least not on a level of like a traditional children's animated film where it's like, you know, Hercules, the main villain's Hades, Princess and the Frog, it's Dr. Facilier, Ursula, Little Mermaid, stuff like that. Whereas, like, the Rankin Bass one has the Abominable Snowman, which is the one a lot of people remember in there.
Yeah, Abominable Snowman, the king of the island of misfit toys, who I'm just trying to remember right now.
That's the lion, right?
Yeah, the lion, but I forget his name. It was such a cool name, too, and he sort of looks cool because he has, like, his black mane and all that, and just wears a crown on his head.
Was it like Lionheart? That seems to be like the fallback for lion characters.
No, that's almost a Care Bear name. It wasn't Lionheart.
That was a Care Bear name, wasn't it?
No, it was Braveheart the lion.
Oh, my bad.
Yeah,
I just assumed it was Lionheart.
You gotta understand the Care Bear lore, Nero.
Yes, because it's so rich and full of creativity.
But yeah, just going back to Rudolph, it is basically sort of like if you took the Rankin Bass one, basically just ripped off the framing device of it.
Yeah, but instead of but the villain they ripped off from another Rankin Bass movie, because there's the Santa Claus Rankin Bass movie that has the Winter Warlock, or there is a Rudolph movie, I think it's Christmas in July, and the villain in there, I think, is also a Winter Warlock, but not the Winter Warlock from the Santa Claus one, where, like, Santa taught him the meaning of Christmas and love, and his, like, cold heart melted. In the Rudolph, it's actually not that bad. It's actually, that's the one with the cute little penguin.
No, I like that one. It was Topper the Penguin. I love Topper, and he's so cute.
It's in that penguin list, card above our head. Be sure to check that out. Link in the description below. In the other one, the Christmas in July one, there's another Winter Warlock, but I don't think it's the same guy. I mean, it might be the same model because Rankin Bass was kind of cheap.
Yeah.
But I think it was a different Winter Warlock that when this husky woman who works for the circus uses her fake guns and she breaks his scepter, he turns into a tree.
Oh my god.
No, dude, WHYBOY, we gotta watch it sometime. The scene is so magically weird that just it stuck with me my entire life since I was a tot.
Yeah, I'll definitely see that, but yeah, no, that's not the Warlock we got in this one. voiced by Whoopi Goldberg, we got Stormella.
Yeah, but it's the same basic idea, though, where it's like some kind of ice witch or something.
Yeah, exactly. And
What if we take these two Rankin Bass movies and just shove them together?
Yeah, there we go. We came up with the movie, guys. It's time for good times for everybody.
And then throw some Disney in there. Bleh.
Bleh.
That's what it's like. And like the whole premise is set up very humdrum. Of course, Rudolph is born. He is a child to one of the iconic reindeer. I don't even remember. Who was he? Dasher's kid? No, he's Blitzen.
Yeah.
It's Blitzen's kid. Because it's got to be one of them. Like, Blitzen has a son, and they have Rudolph. And for some reason, even his mother's just like, I'm ashamed I ever gave birth to this deformed atrocity.
Yeah, they sort of just pushed Rudolph's mother just sort of at the side of things. Just leaving her, like, on those few quotes, and basically, yeah, she's gone now. Like, the last line that she remembered... The last line that I remember she having was, like, where she was, like, running away crying.
I don't even remember that. I remember her, like, she gave birth, and they're trying to get, like, baby Rudolph to stand, and he slips and his nose lights up, and she's like, oh, like, she's just almost, like, disgusted at the idea that her son has this deformity, and it's like, wow, what a bitch.
Yeah, and then the writing just sort of remembers, just like, oh no, she's supposed to be, like, the actual support of one of the duo, so she has to talk to Blitzen, just like, oh no, I think our son's beautiful.
Because writing dictates, one of your parents have to be disgusted with you, and then one of your parents has to be proud of you for who you are, showing that one half of your family is a piece of shit.
But it's not just your family. As soon as, like, Rudolph walks outside and just the other reindeer see him, or actually, I should say everybody sees him, they're just like, oh, look at the freak, look at the freak. Let's have a song about how much of a freak he is. I
think I'm more disgusted because this is going to come off really weird for, like, a lot of people, okay? I'm rounding near my 30th birthday come December 31st.
Mm-hmm.
I still love Santa Claus.
Yeah.
And I love Santa Claus in the same way I love Superman or Uncle Sam. I love the ideology these characters represent. The idea that Superman, you know, despite being this big and strong, you know, it's not about the physical prowess that he's capable of. It's about the inner kindness. Uncle Sam isn't about the jingoism of America, how America's better than every place else in the world. America's, you know, like God's chosen country. No, it's about freedom and the ideal that everybody should live in a world where they should be able to be safe, to express themselves, to be who they are. Santa Claus to me is that same idea where conceptually Santa Claus represents the joy, the capability to give. It's not about getting anything. It's about going out and doing right by others, by helping others, by instead of worrying about your little world, you look at the bigger world outside your snow globe. And there's a beauty to that.
Yeah, but Nero, you're being completely silly here. This Santa's far better, because he runs a North Pole where basically everyone makes fun of a baby reindeer, and if cheating happens and all that, and Santa's just like, oh, well, I can't do anything about that.
That's what I find so disgusting, is like, it's an apathetic Santa Claus. Writing an apathetic Santa Claus is like writing a Superman who's an asshole.
Which has happened.
Yeah. Well, I'm surprised, like, we didn't go through the credits, and it's like, who worked on this Rudolph movie? Zack Snyder. I feel like you're all upset because I took your little reindeer and I made him a big boy deer with, like, real problems and real issues. He isn't Mr. Perfect.
Oh, God.
What the fuck?
Yeah, but just going off the apathetic Santa sort of subplot, like, the key thing that basically makes you sort of, like, almost hate Santa is it connects with Stormella as well. Because basically the whole bridge of the story is that two elves basically just going back to deliver letters to Santa Claus, and they go across Stormella's bridge, because basically that's been open to, like, all of the North Pole. So they ride through it, and they go, wow, Goofy, hijinks, and smash all her ice sculptures that she has on her front yard. And what do they do afterwards? Do they leave a note?
By the way, their names are a pun. Boondoggle. That's a thing. I don't even remember fully what boondoggle means. I think it means like a calamity or something. But, like, one of them, because I really don't remember which elf was which, one of them says the responsible thing to do would be to leave a note to explain the situation so we don't get in trouble.
Then the other one's just like, screw it, let's get out of here.
Yeah, let's book it! And they do. And then Stormella shows up at Santa's workshop. And
Rightfully
she's
so, pissed
rightfully
off.
upset. And she's like, yeah, one of your elves who was delivering the mail out destroyed sculptures in my yard. And Santa's, of course, like, how do you know it was one of my elves? Asshole, we're in the North Pole. Are you really going to play this game with me? Who else did it?
Yeah, and if you want any proof, here's a freaking elf hat. I wonder who wears an elf hat.
Yeah, so of course, like, she's demanding retribution, and Santa basically just says, no, I made him, they feel bad, that's enough. They're not going to be punished in any way for causing destruction of property and then lying about it, which is weird, because it's a kid's movie, so you think there'd be some kind of moral lesson there about taking responsibility, owning up to your actions. And it's like, no, you could just do this shit because there are no consequences when you do bad stuff.
Yeah, it's sort of teaching the opposite sort of moral lesson. So
yeah.
Stormella is just rightfully pissed, just like, oh, well, if you're going to do that, well, then nobody uses my bridge anymore.
And if one of you assholes cross my bridge, I'm going to cause the biggest blizzard to happen. Oh, okay, well,
whatever. Well, bye, we're not going to do anything about that. We're not even going to really say we're sorry.
I guess a year in time passes in story, because obviously you have to wait a year for, like, the next Christmas. And, like, a year passes and nobody touches the bridge. Eventually Rudolph gets sick of being, like, bullied by everybody, so he runs away. The
girlfriend character.
Interest?
Yeah.
Because she's kind of scummy, too, because she's dating another dude, but she keeps flirting with Rudolph. And I'm not trying to, like, slut-shame. If she wants to play both sides of the field, she can. That's her prerogative. But it's a really shitty thing to do, to clearly have somebody invested in an actual relationship with you, and then you're betraying their trust.
Yeah, it's kind of
to
disgusting.
Play with someone else.
Like, even if the guy is a dickhead, you shouldn't really just be playing both sides. You either have to break it off or actually talk about it.
Yeah, just date the other guy. Either break up with the dude you're dating and go with Rudolph, or you could still be in love with this other guy, but don't be flirtatious with Rudolph. Be there as a friend, because it makes you look like an asshole.
Yeah, but the movie just sort of writes it off. It's just like, oh no, that's the right way that she should be acting, because that guy was a jerk.
Yeah.
So girlfriend character basically just like, oh, I gotta look for Rudolph all over the place. Might as well look over this bridge, even though, like, if anyone who crosses it will basically piss off Stormella, so why would Rudolph cross it? But I'm gonna cross it anyways, yay!
And she crosses it, and Stormella's like, oh, bitch, it's on like Donkey Kong.
But not immediately, though. I'm gonna wait like a day.
Yeah, but I'm gonna wait. You know, I'm gonna let gestate for like a good 24 hours. Just keep it up, cool, chill. Just let it rest. Let it gestate.
It's just so funny.
Just so Rudolph has time to go meet Eric Idle.
Yep, Eric Idle, and oh god, and what's the bear's name again? I forgot completely.
Leonard.
Yep, the bear. Why did Leonard or this Fox character need to be in the movie?
Because Disney movies have comic relief side characters like Mushu and Abu, and because they have these side characters, this being a kid's movie from 1998 and banking off of how Disney does things, you need to check that box. So this also needs a comic relief side character, but instead of being, you know, funny or entertaining,
or actually connected to the theming of being misfits like in the Rankin Bass one, what makes them misfits in this movie?
Nothing. There's just happens to be a bear whose house they break into, and then there's a fox who's kind of an asshole.
Yeah, they're just two different characters. It's just like, yeah, we're here.
Yeah, we're here in the movie now. We're taking up valuable real estate we could be using for narrative. Oh, you know what? Let's just move along. Like we're we're trapped. Ice Whoopi Goldberg caught us.
Yeah, on how we're caught by Ice Whoopi Goldberg and get our nose.
Which she of course then starts her storm, and her own storm causes her to like blow off of her balcony. And then they save her. She's like,
oh no, it wasn't that. It was this Rudolph finally believing in himself enough to be able to use his red nose to basically blind her to basically walk off the edge.
Oh, and then she slipped.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So through sheer accent of near murder, Rudolph pulls her up, and then one of the was it one of the No, it was the fox. The fox is like, North Pole law says
You gotta
she
grant
owes
him
you
a wish now.
You know, dude, when we talk about this, I really, really love that David Pumpkin's Halloween special, because it really did hit like all the stupidity of a bad written holiday special.
And this is just that bad written holiday special and everything.
Well, yeah, because the David S. Pumpkin one was at least a satire. Like, it was making fun of holiday specials. This was like, no, this is sincere from the heart. Look how terrible this is.
Yeah, so oh god. Yeah, just hitting the nail on the head. Sincere is not what this movie is. Not in the slightest. It's artificial, it's bullshit, and it's just every cookie cutter, like, 90s movie trope crammed into a movie to basically try to make it theatrical.
This is one of the things I've always hated. Because I do need to bring this up. It's a trope I've hated in any form of children's storytelling. Is like, Rudolph, she's like, okay, Rudolph, I can grant you one wish. What do you want? And he says, I wish for you to be good. And they treat the idea of a person who does bad things and a person who does good things as just that. They treat it as like it's a thing, like it's a malleable idea, when a person's alignment is totally sculpted by their experiences.
Yeah, it's even worse in this movie because she's rightfully so upset, and she warned them.
She's justified.
Yeah, she warned them to do it. It's like, don't do this, or I'm going to do that. I'm actually warning you, and I'm going to keep to my word. It's just
give or take 24 hours.
Yeah, exactly. Like, what would have worked better is like if Rudolph basically talked to Stormella and basically changed her mind that way. Through actual discussion and through actual thoughts and such, not just,
like if,
I wish you were nice.
Like, okay, here's a good example of, like, a hint of subtle writing. Did you ever see Princess and the Frog?
No, I still have to see that, but I know the story of it.
In Princess and the Frog, they don't outright say it, but it's pretty safely inferred if you pick up the small details. But the reason why Dr. Facilier is so selfish and self-serving, which is ironic because the way voodoo works in the movie, the way they set it up, you cannot use voodoo to conjure things for personal gain.
Right.
You can use voodoo to assist other people, but you can't use it to serve your own needs. And it's like one line of dialogue, but the dialogue infers that not only did Dr. Facilier grow up impoverished, but because of the time period the movie set in, he grew up dealing with racism because he happens to be black and while living in Nolans.
Right.
And it's very subtle, and it's like, I understand why he's self-serving and he doesn't care about other people because life has kind of run him down. Yeah. That's why he developed into this person. Whereas, like, this movie has the gall to be like, oh, you know what, I just wish for you to be good. So I'm basically going to brainwash you to take away your free will to make you act like how you're not.
Yeah, and the movie just sort of just sets it up almost all the joke for why Stormella is mad. Like with her whole villain song, just like, I hate Santa Claus because... And there's no sort of answer in the actual song. It's just like a series of shorts of how she's torturing Santa Claus in different ways. Like lighting a fire in the chimney and such like that.
You know, I'm pretty sure in the Rankin Bass one, not the Rudolph one, but the one with Santa Claus and the Winter Warlock.
Yeah.
I think they inferred that because he was isolated and alone for so long, his heart basically became very cold and he became very withdrawn.
Yeah, that's exactly it, and that's why he just said, no one crosses my man. I don't want anyone near me. Yeah,
like he's just old and embittered. He's like a miser.
Yeah, so you don't like this sort of writing doesn't have to be like hammered in or anything. It can just be inferred with like the setting and such. Like, Stormella didn't have to be a bad character. She could just be pissed off about this, and that could be the only thing wrong.
Yeah, but that's the thing is, like, they had such a generic villain, and it annoys me because you have stuff like Justice League Action, and Justice League Action isn't deep. Each episode's like 11 minutes.
Right.
And you still get like a villain's motivation. Like Lex Luthor is very simple. He hates Superman because he's very egotistical. He's very driven that I'm the man of tomorrow. I am so smart. I'm so much better than everybody else. And then this asshole in the cape comes along, and for some reason you all love him.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, that's pretty straightforward. Like, the thing is, I don't need villains to be very multifaceted. And I understand because it's like, it's a kid's film. Unfortunately, most writers, not all, but most writers feel like you don't need a multifaceted villain for it to be good.
Yeah, I don't think there really is a need to, like, always have a multifaceted character, even in a good movie. There's just sort of, like, if there's a connection between, that basically makes the main character stronger with the antagonist, then that villain can work.
Can the villain at least be entertaining? Because even if we go back to, like, the Mickey Mouse Three Musketeers one, did we review that, by the way?
I'm not sure if we did it for Watchin stuff. We might do it someday, but we did really enjoy that because Pete is such a fun villain, though. And
yeah, and like his motivation isn't really, it's not really deep.
He just wants to be like a duke or something.
Well, like the way if you listen to his villain song,
yeah,
he actually has motivation in one line of dialogue where after he sings about how his mom basically hated him and how he was a burden. He in the lyrics of his song he says, "If you can't be loved, be feared."
Right, yeah.
And that's his fucking motivation right there. Is like, oh shit, if I'm not going to be loved, then I'd rather have people fucking fear me.
Yeah, so I just get all the power I want, get all the money and all that, and just there you go. It's just as simple as that. And just like I was saying, like, Pete's character connects with all three of the main characters, Mickey, Donald, and Goofy, just to basically thrust them into a situation where they have to, like, fight against their weakness. Stormella doesn't really do that. Like, she's completely disconnected from Rudolph and his struggles and such. Like, him learning how to be...
Should she have been isolated, like, to draw parallels?
Like, she could have been isolated, but she really wasn't, in a sense. Like, she had people around him. And, like, there wasn't really any sort of inferring into what that sort of thing was. And, like, going back to Rudolph again and just like, oh, I'm such a freak with my nose and all that. We have 4 fairies just come down and just like, hey, Rudolph, you shouldn't be sad about your nose. Okay, bye.
Yeah, what the fuck? And those fairies, too, there's no, like, through line. They're just there.
They're just there to basically push along the story. Because that's what they are. They are just plot devices. And I really just have to mention this because we've been just talking in depth about the story, and story-wise, this is a really, really underwritten movie. The animation for the theatrical movie is really just all over the place.
You know, for $10 million, I kind of still expect better.
Yeah, but I don't think it was, like, the worst anime movie I've seen. Like, I liked all the backgrounds and such, but you can clearly tell where they were cutting corners everywhere.
Oh yeah, no question. And the thing that gets me is, like, this year they had Captain Underpants, card above our head, link in the description below, because we did do that one.
Yeah.
Captain Underpants was a pretty cheap budget, wasn't it? Like, the cheapest animated kids film in recent years?
Yeah, really. And they were able to, like, put out a really well done movie and really just show, like, you don't need to put, like, millions upon millions of dollars into an anime movie to basically make it look good. You just have to really have a focused vision of it.
Actually, that's also a movie where, like, the villain isn't deep, but you get the motivation and you get the entertainment value.
Yeah, you get the connection with the main characters and how the villain pushes the main characters to basically go along in their story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, where would you rank this Rudolph movie?
I was thinking of maybe going rock bottom with it, but I don't really know in a sense. It just doesn't feel like it's weird. I almost enjoyed the movie in a sense for how bad it was. Like, it was sort of funny to watch.
I think it works because if you watch this as a companion piece to the Rankin Bass film, you get the same exact movie, but it's like, oh, it's like someone came along and did the same exact film, but better.
Yeah.
It's funny because this goes back to, like, if you watch Wreck-It Ralph or Inside Out, and then you see, like, the Emoji Movie, it really is like, oh, somebody did this, but, like, way better.
Yeah, so Yeah, I would definitely say that. And I definitely wouldn't say like this is one of the worst movies that I've seen personally. It's definitely on the lighter side of the oh my god, this is a bad movie spectrum. So I really just have to give it a crud chowder in a sense.
Yeah.
Like even though like everything is really awful in it, it's so light of a bad that it's still watchable.
Yeah, I would agree that this is a crud chowder. The idea that when you go into this, and again, it goes back to my argument where it's like, watch this and watch the Rudolph one from Rankin Bass, and you're going to get that sense of like, man, Rankin Bass did this like years earlier and way better. Whereas then you watch this and it's like, oh, huh.
Yeah, in that sort of sense, it's just sort of like, come on down, everybody, and just point at the actual freak over here. I
really think that the brilliance about sometimes when we come across films like this and there's able to be like these comparative pieces, it's great if they showed these in classes for like blossoming writers and artists.
Mm-hmm.
Because it sort of shows you where it's like, here's how you could do it, here's why you shouldn't do it. And it shows like good parallels because you could do like a bullet point presentation really where it's like, this is why this works, this is why this connects to this, and create like maybe like a character web or like a character tree to sort of like have it analyzed down proper and better. Comparatively, when you do it and you see like why it doesn't work, it's like, and here's a branch and it goes nowhere and connects to nothing, and then here's another branch which also goes nowhere and connects to nothing, and it's like there's this foundation here but all these branches aren't connecting to this tree, so you end up with just like a dreaded dry stick by the end of it.
Yeah, exactly. But I wouldn't be so harsh to say like this movie's just a dreaded dry stick. It's just almost like a really embarrassing picture of a bully, You know they were doing something just really awful in this movie, but once you see it, it's just like, I can make fun of my bully now, and they deserve it.
Alright, yeah. So I think that's a good place we can leave off and wrap up, is that this is it's a crud chowder. I think you'll agree with me that the idea of watching this and the Rankin Bass one back-to-back might kind of give you an idea of like, oh, here's how you can do the same thing, but just a bit better.
Yeah, I definitely think like for animation fans like us, that would actually be a nice, fun night to go about it. Maybe start off with the Rudolph one first, basically just like, oh god, this is just an awful movie. Then end off in the Rankin Bass one and just like, oh yeah, that was good and done so much better than that one. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So we do appreciate you guys for stopping by. Be sure to, like, subscribe, hit the bell to get notifications. If you want to support us, you can go to our Patreon or you can go to our TeePublic store. Any money we make through merchandise sold in TeePublic or on Patreon gets funneled back into us. And I think we also have, was it T-Blocks? We have a code you can use?
Yep. If you put in the code ToonGrin TBX, you can get 10% off your purchase of basically one of a kind shirts that you can get once a month for $12.99 a month.
Ooh, sweet. And that's, if I recall, that T-Blocks, it's all pop culture stuff, right? Shirts on like cartoons and video games and comic books and stuff of the geek culture.
Yeah, that's exactly it. All you have to do is just ToonGrin TBX. Basically choose the blocks that you want, whether it be sci-fi, cartoon, or anything in between. Choose the blocks you want, go to checkout, and put in ToonGrin TBX for 10% off.
Sweet. That sounds awesome deal, actually. I could definitely use more shirts. I know I got this awesome shirt. I don't think this was from T-Blocks, but I've seen it around in multiple stores where it's the Penguin from Batman, but it's done in such a way that it's like the hockey team, the Penguins. Okay.
I think that definitely could be a shirt that T-Blocks may have, but I don't know. You would have to see for yourself. Like, it's all limited edition shirts that, like, it's a whole random order. Like, the last shirt that we got was an Adventure Time shirt that was really cool, and it was done for Comic-Con 2015, I believe.
Oh, so it's even a limited edition stuff they're carrying then that you could only get if you went to these events.
Yeah, exactly. So now the only place you can really find them is basically just throwing your hand in and going to tblocks.com.
Awesome. Yeah. Awesome. That sounds really good. We do appreciate everybody for stopping by. So be sure to like, subscribe, comment, hit that notification bell, check out the stores, links are in the description below, and as always, tune in
to ToonGrin.
Have a Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, and Kwanzaa, people.
And remember, always have a good time.